What's happening? How we all doing? Welcome to Flames Nation Live. Welcome to another day in what has been just a miserable season for the Calgary Flames. And now, at the very least, I think we know how this story is going to end. We are live from our Sportsnet 960 downtown studios. A little bit different spot than usual. I'm not in the studio because we got a Hitman pregame show going on right now, so I'm upstairs in our downtown studios. See, who do we have online? I see that Sam is first in, YOLO, Jordan's in, Alex, Mike, Ryan, and Joseph, as we've got lots with us to kick off a Tuesday evening edition of the show. Ryan's wondering if I've got a steak on the Barbie. No, I do not tonight. It's a little rainy outside, so probably not the most ideal for barbecuing right now. What a frustrating last few days, hey? Just when you thought that maybe the weekend could be a positive one for the Flames, instead it goes in the complete opposite direction. They only lose one game, but with that one loss, from Thursday to Tuesday, they go from 4 back to 10 back. That's and that doesn't that perfectly illustrate the situation that the Flames are in? Doesn't that perfectly illustrate the fact that they left too much out of their control? They left too much in the hands of another team. Like that's what this past weekend and yesterday drove home to me, is that because of how poor the first 3 quarters of the season had been, they had left way too much in the hands of the Habs or the Jets or whoever you want to point to. Too much of their fate is in the hands of another team, in that all it took was 3 wins for Montreal, and this thing turned completely. And it went from the maybe hotel or the fingers crossed hotel to the no chance motel in the snap of a finger. And that's the frustrating part of where the Flames were and the situation that they're in. And now I think with 6 games remaining, I think we know how this is going to end. They have mathematical life. However, that mathematical life could be snuffed out. All it will take tomorrow is a Montreal win and a Calgary loss of any kind, and they will be mathematically eliminated from the playoffs, and they will no longer be able to catch either Montreal or Winnipeg if those 2 things happen. Now, Calgary wins and they stay alive for another day, but, how long will it actually last for? We shall wait and see. So, as before we get to some of the comments and some of our other topics, let's tell you this first of all, that Flames Nation Live is brought to you by our friends at Deuce Vodka. Always bring you Flames Nation Live, whether it's Pike and I or whether it's just me solo. Deuce Vodka available wherever fine spirits are sold. And if your local liquor store does not have Deuce Vodka, make sure you get him to bring it in. If you're familiar with Brett Kissel, the country superstar, he's the man behind Deuce Vodka. They are the celebratory vodka. Kissel's an Oilers fan, and they've been doing more celebrating than we have this year. For Flames fans, Deuce Vodka is more of the drown your sorrows vodka. 6 games to go, and let's jump in. Joseph asks, take a guess what the Flames record will be out of the final 6 games. So my guess is that they probably... they got those 4 against Vancouver. Whether or not they even play all 4 of them against Vancouver is very much up in the air in a lot of ways. I say they probably go, 3-3, 3-2-1, something like that. They've been playing better. That's the thing, is that under Daryl Sutter, this team has been playing better hockey. Go take a look at the 24 games under Daryl. They are the number 2 team in the NHL in terms of high danger scoring chances against. The only team better than them since Daryl Sutter took over is the Colorado Avalanche. And you take a look at their possession numbers. They're the number 7 team 5-on-5 possession in the NHL since Daryl Sutter took over. And the teams that are ahead of them are the elite teams like Colorado and Vegas and Carolina. So there have been good things that have been accomplished by this team. And I think the process and the overall is moving in the right direction. The results haven't been there. They're 11-13, and they also had a big hole to climb out of to begin with. But it's not like they've been playing poor hockey under their new head coach. So I could see them easily going 500 down the stretch. And for those hoping that they're going to fall into a top 5 draft pick, I don't know personally if I see that happening. Ryan asks, looks like home, not a studio. I'm not in the studio. I'm in our offices. The studio's downstairs. I'm up on the 3rd floor. That's why it's a slightly different backdrop for us. Ryan says they go 2-4. Jordan, my English friend is a fan of Crystal Palace, an EPL team. He told me once that fans of mediocre teams make good husbands. This is because they still chose to love after tons of disappointment. That's how I feel about the Flames. This is, I don't know how many people on our chat called it and said, they're just setting us up to be disappointed. I don't know how many people said that on our chat over the last week, that we're just getting ready to be disappointed. They're teasing us. Well, it's kind of what happened. It's not all on them. But again, as I said, they went into April needing way too much help. And Montreal struggled for most of April, but then they win 3 in a row. And give the Habs, that's the other thing, give the Habs a boatload of credit, because they could easily have just kind of rolled over and let the Flames be more in control of their own destiny. Could have let the injuries get the better of them. But the comeback win over Winnipeg, the comeback win over Ottawa, the comeback win over Toronto, that's some gutsy-ass stuff. Good on them. Vance says, I knew Caulfield would punish us, but I thought it would be in games against us. Well, they only played Caulfield the one game against Calgary, and he was fine. Like, he had some opportunities, but didn't end up factoring in. But yes, the games that have not been against the Flames, Caulfield has done more damage. Sam says, well, I think it's time to call up Phillips and Ruzicka, or maybe Philp. I don't know. I don't get the feeling that we're going to see those guys in the roster until the Flames are mathematically eliminated. I think, like, for instance, tomorrow against Winnipeg, just based on practice today, I think Markstrom starts tomorrow. I think the roster remains pretty much the same. I think we're talking about the same lines and pairings for the most part. Like, I don't think that we're going to see a whole lot of change until they're mathematically eliminated. And again, that could be as early as tomorrow. They could go into Saturday's game against Ottawa mathematically eliminated, or they might still be alive. It all depends on how things go. And what we see from the Flames and other teams. But yes, the Flames don't have a ton in their own control. This from Dylan. Milan Lucic is a class act. Waving is no move. We knew it was going to happen, but mad respect to him for it. And what he's talking about is that Sportsnet's Eric Francis reporting today in a conversation with Milan that yes, he will indeed waive his no move clause. That was part of the condition of when the deal was made going back almost 2 years ago with the Edmonton Oilers. That was in the condition or in the agreement that if the Flames were to acquire Lucic and give him kind of a new lease on his career, that he would have to waive his no-move clause for the expansion draft. Here we are 2 seasons later, and he's going to do exactly that. He's a man of his word. I don't think anybody's surprised by that. It's actually really good reporting from Francis because he talks to him, and Lucic kind of gives a thought as to why he's doing it and why he wants to do it and all that type of stuff. So it definitely gives the Flames the flexibility they expected, and it is a guy following through on his word. But again, mad respect to him. And I think it was definitely, I'm not surprised by it, but it's still good to see, no doubt about it. Jason, depending on draft position, Flames should trade up to draft Owen Power. Well, seeing as how that guy might be going number 1 overall, this is not to be dismissive at all, Jason, because I love the idea. I really do. It's so hard to trade up into the top 3 or 4. Like, we see it so rarely that a team trades up that far. We see it so rarely that a team is able to move into the top 2 or 3. Trading from, like we saw the Flames trade down twice in the 2020 draft, but they did that in the teens and the 20s. So teams traded up into the teens and the 20s. That happens. But to trade into the top 4 or 5, that's more difficult. Now, maybe this year's different. Maybe because it is such an unprecedented draft, maybe we see something different. But I do think that is a real tall task to do. That being said, they could get Owen Power. Whew. Like, the guy that I like is Beniers. But, man, if they could get Power, that'd be pretty cool. I don't know. It seems unlikely, but, Jason, I hear where you're coming from. What else we got here? Alex says, might as well go 0-6, improve the draft lottery odds, bring up Phillips, give him some NHL games, give the younger defensemen bigger roles to gain more experience and prepare for next season. Well, here's the thing. No player in this league, and this is what always is there's no player in this league that is going to try to lose. You know, they're going to go out there and they're going to try to win hockey games. But what you can do is you can make lineup decisions that would be more in line with a team, with a team that is trying to go in a different direction. In that, once they're mathematically eliminated, like, I'd be all for them doing it now. But if they wanted to shut down Tanev, shut down Monahan, 2 players that we believe are playing through injuries. Like, I know Tanev is playing through an injury right now, and it's a significant one. And we believe Monahan is as well. So maybe you shut those guys down for the final 5 games, bring younger players in. Maybe, as Ryan suggests, would you sit Markstrom for the rest of the games or no? I think they should, and call up some young bucks from Stockton. Maybe you give Louis Domingue and Artem Zagadulin some games. That's the way that you could change the fortunes. And again, no player, every player that plays is going to try to win the hockey game, but I think that there are some other things that you could do. And I also think that, regardless of what the results end up being, you've got an opportunity to evaluate a little bit. And for young players, offer that carrot. I think it's important. Like, for instance, I would be giving Juuso Välimäki top 4 minutes between now and the end of the season. I just think that would be great for his development. It would be a great boost for him going into the offseason. And that guy is a potential core player going forward, is he not? So would you not want to feed him 20-plus minutes a game down the stretch? Maybe get Shillington some minutes in there as well? Phillips, Philp, Ruzicka. There are some opportunities. There really are. We'll see if the Flames take the opportunities or not. What else we got here? Let's see where we want to go next with. Let's read this one. It's about the expansion draft. Dylan says, I think Shillington will get taken in the expansion, or maybe Backlund Ryan. Well, they're going to protect Backlund as of right now. So I don't think Backlund will get selected because I believe he'll be protected as of right now. Ryan maybe, because Ryan's a Washington guy. He's a pending UFA, so I don't think that's completely out of the question. I wonder about Lucic. I wonder about Shillington. Trading Bennett certainly helped him a little bit. The other thing is, do they expose Giordano? Is Seattle interested in Giordano? Do they expose another defenseman to keep Giordano? Would Seattle be interested? What type of appetite is there for a side deal? The expansion draft. Boy, oh boy, we're going to have a lot to talk about on the expansion draft as our Flames Nation lives continue. What else we got? Vance says they do this every year. Get close to the playoffs, dump a couple important games, and then finish strong enough to screw up their draft chance. Got to be the best team that doesn't make the playoffs. There's been a lot of years like that. Jason, with how the Jets have struggled, I wish the Flames were battling them for 4th place. Ty says trade Backlund. Lackluster the last 25 games. I don't think anything's off the table this offseason, Ty. I really don't. I think they need to make significant changes to this core group. And whether that's Monahan, whether that's Gaudreau, whether that's Tkachuk, whether that's Backlund, I think they need to make significant changes to this core. So I don't disagree that, whether it's Backlund is their number 1 target, I don't know. He wouldn't be my number 1 target to move. But if there was somebody who is offering good value on Backlund, I wouldn't shut that down whatsoever. Now, again, what I think this team should do and what I think this team will do in the offseason are two different stories, in that I think a significant reset button needs to be pressed and they need to go in a bigger picture direction. Whereas I think the Flames are going to try to make some big changes, but those changes will be aimed at trying to stay competitive and be in the playoffs next year. I don't think that's what they should do. I think that's what the Flames will do. But either way, I think you could absolutely see them moving a core piece like Backlund. Jordan asks, if when they move significant pieces, do you think they'll get pieces back to make them Stanley Cup competitive? I don't think so. Me neither. That's why I think rebuilding, looking long term, building through the draft for a few years, and then seeing if you can get back to being a higher end team in 3 or 4 years. That's why I truly believe that's the best way to go, because I don't think the moves that they would, I don't think the players that they'll be looking to trade are going to get them elite talent the other way. Short of Eichel, and I think that Eichel will be a big Flames Nation Live talking point as well this offseason. Short of Eichel, I don't know if there's any elite player you're going to get back. And by the way, I don't think that you're giving up. I think you're giving up a king's ransom if you're going to go out and get Eichel. But like, for instance, if they trade Monahan, they're not getting incredible return. Like they're probably getting they're probably getting a player that at the very best is commensurate to Monahan right now. And maybe that can be a guy that thrives in Calgary, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know if there are elite players that come back to Calgary, and that's why I don't think that anything they do will make them a cup contender. In saying that, I do think that if they make, I do think a couple of core moves and some players back, I think they can be better next year. I think they could be a playoff team next year if they wanted to retool on the fly and stay competitive. But I guess for me, I just think the more important thing is don't you want a team to be a Stanley Cup contender? And if they retool and try to stay competitive, I just don't see them becoming a Stanley Cup contender. Adrian, rebuild's long overdue. I wouldn't waste any more time. Try to build a contender and be ready for when the new arena is built. It's what I believe. But Adrian, I just want to temper your expectations. I am in complete agreement with what they should do, but I'm trying to temper expectations in that I don't think that's what they're going to do. I really don't. But we'll see. Like somebody Ryan suggests guys like Reinhardt or Konechny, something like that. I don't know. I mean, those guys would be interesting. And I think that they could keep the Flames competitive, and a new mix might make them slightly better and might even allow them to win a round or something like that. But is winning around the ultimate goal for this group? If the answer is yes, and playoff revenue and getting 4 to 7 or 8 home dates in the playoffs is the biggest thing, well then yeah, you go about your offseason one way. If ultimately winning the Stanley Cup and being in a position to win cups for an extended period of time is the goal, then I think they have to go in a completely different direction. Friends, we're going to have so much to talk about this offseason. We still have 6 games to go, starting tomorrow against the Winnipeg Jets. I can't wait to have these conversations with you all summer long, because there are going to be so many different ones that we are going to have and need to have. Join us again on Friday. We'll be back with Pike. More of your questions, more of your topic ideas. It's always great to interact with you on Flames Nation Live. We're always brought to you by our friends at Deuce Vodka. Check them out on Instagram at Deuce Vodka, or check them out on Twitter at Vodka Deuce. And more importantly, check them out at your local liquor store. If your local liquor store is not carrying the fine spirit Deuce Vodka, make sure they do. Your celebration or sorrow drowning vodka, depending on how the year has been going. Hey, Thanks for stopping by. I thought I'd give you an alternative than the premier and him introducing new restrictions while we do this. Thought I'd give you a little bit of a distraction instead. If you're living in Alberta, I know that it's not been the greatest time, and I know it looks like we're in for some more dark days here for the next little bit. Stay safe, everyone. Keep the faith. We'll get out of this soon enough. And in the meantime, I've got your distraction on Flames Nation Live. Pike will be with me on Friday. Be well, stay safe, be kind to one another. Thanks for stopping by. We'll talk to you later this week. It's been another edition of Flames Nation Live for our friends at Deuce Vodka.